Hello, nerds. Welcome to Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jess.
And we're back to...
And here's Mabel.
Indeed. And we're finally back to talk about Fear Street, Part 2, 1970-something.
78.
78. Last time we took a bit of a detour so we could talk about Suicide Squad, just because it was new, it's flashy, it was fun. But we do have to do a little bit of chit-chatting about Fear Street Part 2. Because it is part of a pretty darn good trilogy of horror, and I would honestly classify more as like horror or horror homage movies than anything else. But before that, I think it's time to talk about a couple things we've heard about this week. Do you want to go first?
So this week I did learn that one of my childhood go-to movies is going to start filming soon. Real quick, just want to say my parents should never have let me watch this. I don't know why they did.
You showed me the trailer for it just the other day, and I don't understand why it was made.
Yeah, that's also a valid question or a thought. So when I was little, we had this VHS of two movies. We had two VHS movies that I watched a lot. More often than like a 7-year-old probably should. Kind of weird.
7?
I was very young. I was somewhere in the younger, like 7 to 12. It has to be somewhere in there. Because I remember it very little. So I would watch the old, like, probably 70-something movie Beastmaster. Mm-hmm. And also the maybe 78. I don't know. It's very old. Maybe in the 80s. I don't know. But Toxic Avenger. But specifically Toxic Avenger 2. Where they go to Tokyo. Toxic Avenger, I have learned, is going to start filming soon. If you don't know what that is, he's like a superhero, anti-hero sort of guy.
I say anti-hero, probably.
He does his best to be, helpful and, like, do good in the world, but he's real ugly. He's like, he fell into a vat of toxic waste and it became real deformed and crazy looking. And his main weapon is a mop, which, like, as a child, first off, he's terrifying to look at. So I don't understand why I enjoyed it so much. Maybe it was because, like, it was so strange, and it was the weirdest VHS we had, besides Beastmaster. But yeah, so I learned through Elijah Wood, my old friend. Not really, that'd be cool though. But I did learn through him that he will be filming Toxic Avenger soon, and that's wild, and I'm excited for it. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up.
Yeah, it is definitely something that I think people should know about in a, wow, that was a thing that was made by someone?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, people should have that knowledge in their brain. That being said, I don't even understand how they're going to remake it in this new world we live in, because the general idea of toxic man mutated out of radioactive waste or whatever the hell, turning into superhuman and cleaning up crime
with his literal mop weapon. Yeah.
Is it's pretty funny, but also very... Ew.
It's very niche. What I have found, though, Elijah Wood loves horror movies. He loves horror movies, but specifically kind of bad, kind of dorky, cheesy movies. So, what is it? Spectre?
Spectre.
I can't think of it right now. So, I mean, you'd have to do some research, because I'm forgetting right now.
Purple Spectre.
But Elijah Wood has his own company, that makes movies. And, so, yeah. I'm thinking he's going to be making this movie, and it's not going to be, a big blockbuster that shows up in all the movie theaters. You'll have to keep an eye out for it, but...
I feel like he's made so much from the, Lord of the Rings movies that he's never really had to work again. He just chooses to.
He's made a lot of movies with Nicolas Cage.
That's amazing.
What is it? Color Out of Space or Space Out of...
Yeah.
Oh, God. I have a headache right now, so that's what I'm excusing myself for being really slow right now.
Yeah, it's like an unknown color or whatever the hell.
Yeah, it's a really weird, trippy space horror movie with Nicolas Cage. Mm-hmm. It was produced by Elijah Wood.
Makes sense.
So I'm looking forward to Toxic Avenger. You should also look up what Beastmaster is. As a child, I really vibed with that because I really badly wanted to talk to animals and have animal companions. And I think that's what got me hooked on that one.
I mean, honestly, I can tell you what Beastmaster is. It's Tarzan mixed with He-Man, with a little sprinkling of Conan, but the Barbarian in there.
Yeah, basically. Basically. A lot of things I don't understand why my parents let me watch, and then didn't let me watch, like, I don't know, Cow and Chicken or, like, Simpsons, but yet they let me watch this deformed man bone this scantily clad woman.
The scenes in the trailer... In the trailer alone, seemed like I should have gotten like a M17 rating. It was wild.
Honestly, while I'm thinking about it right now, I feel like maybe my parents have never watched Toxic Avenger, and they don't really know what it is. They just thought it was a weird movie about some superhero, which is possible. It's very possible that it was just given to them, or like they just had it and didn't know what it was about.
True.
But
yeah.
Still. Anyway,
that's enough about the Toxic Avenger.
That's enough about Toxic Avenger.
It's just some other news that I heard this week. One, there's going to be a season 4 of Stranger Things, which doesn't mean that people didn't already know that. I just only heard about it this week.
And that's the point of this section.
That's the point of this segment. But something else that I heard this week that I think is kind of cool. Ethereum, the not Bitcoin, has decided to move away from the traditional method to which the blockchain is expanded to create a new, less electric, requiring less energy. Wow, I'm bad with words that are basic and common. A less energy consuming form of tracking the blockchain to allow for still digital currencies that can be used for blah 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 blah, without ruining the earth in the process.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That's great and green.
Great and green, as it should be. That being said, technology is meeting a point at which and there's not enough energy to power it, so we need to get better at that. But who cares? Because we need technology to survive nowadays, because that's the world we live in. Hey there, technology. Thanks for listening.
Yes. There was one more thing that okay. So, this doesn't have like what I learned this week sort of thing. But it is like I guess something I found this week. So I found, sorry, I had to get the hair off of my phone. So I found a few really good artists on Spotify. I would recommend, if you are into pop music or anything that sounds kind of mystical, I guess. Anything that sounds like, I don't know, you're going to war, it's medieval times, but there's also magic.
Yeah, it's like if you're for some reason in a mysterious dark forest, but there's pop music,
like,
that's generated from the trees themselves. That's what it sounds
like. dark academia meets magic.
And it is very nice.
You should listen to Kalandra, which is Kalandra. Kalandra. They're a Nordic band, which, of course.
And I think we did a great job of describing their music.
Honestly, yeah. They're really good. Go check them out. It's really cool.
All right. So that's enough of some fun things we've heard about or, wanted to share with everybody. Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
So, Fear Street, Part 2, 1969.
That would be great. But it's not. They're not getting murdered. This is not a Panic at the Disco.
Unfortunately. But Fear Street, Part 2, 1978.
Yes.
Right off the bat, this is my favorite of the three. Because I just like the setting. I like because this one being set in the 70s, late 70s, almost 80s, it has a 80s slasher style to it. It's kids or teens in the woods at a campground, being teens and being honestly quite shit-tastically awful in a lot of cases.
And the main murderer is very Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, he's very Friday the 13th.
Yes, he doesn't lumber or walk like the OG does. He sprints, which is more terrifying, in my opinion.
So awful, because like part of me, gets the feeling in my heart when you see Jason Voorhees, you have a chance to maybe run away.
Are we getting the right man?
I don't think we are.
I think Jason is from Halloween.
No, no, that's Mike.
Michael Myers. So I think we are getting the right guy.
Okay.
Those
Jason
two.
X, because Jason is from. Yes. Okay.
Jason X is the space one, which everybody should go watch.
And that's the same character from the. Okay, we are talking about the right guy.
Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers are the same person. Let's be honest. They're basically the same murderer. That just kind of came out. They are variants of the same man.
Variants?
They are variants. Same man, different universe. But he's very cool. It is a very fun one. It's hard for me to choose between the second one and the third one, because I do dig the third one because it's very period based, and I love me a good period drama so much. However, number 2 is really good. 1978. It has Sadie Sink in it, who is from Stranger Things. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Emily Rudd, Ryan Simpkins. Those are the 3 main ladies in the story this time around. Sadie plays Ziggy. Emily Rudd plays Cindy. They are sisters who go to this Camp Nightwing, which, if we pause for a second and think, that's a fun name. And also, why isn't he gay?
That's a good question. Oh yeah, fuck it, backtrack. Things I learned this week. Robin's bi. Yeah, officially one of the Robins, my least favorite, incidentally, Tim Drake, in the comics has officially been shown as being bisexual.
Well, we're gonna have to cut this part out. Here's some spicy music for y'all as Ollie tries to.
It won't go away.
Get a hold of his mother.
No, fine.
Well, never mind.
Yeah,
so when you told me, I came out of the shower or something, and you were like, oh, guess what? One of the Robins is gay. And you told me who it was, and I immediately was like, I'm surprised Nightwing's not gay.
Yeah, no, as far as I understand, from the more enlightened fan base, because there are also horrible people who are fans of the
of course.
Books, obviously.
Every fandom.
Of course. But the more enlightened of us, 100% all have the headcanon of Dick Grayson, Nightwing, just being the bisexual disaster that we all know and love.
Well, see, what? Nightwing. Dick. Well, there you go. He's gay. But he...
His name is Dick.
He's a gymnast, right?
He's a no. He is a trapeze artist.
Oh my god. Exactly what I said.
He is a trapeze artist who used to be part of a traveling carnival called Haley's Carnival.
Yes.
His parents died,
yes,
unfortunately.
I know that.
But
he has a very shapely butt, I have also heard.
He does have a very shapely butt.
He does at one point have a thing with Barbara?
Yes, he and Batgirl get it on. He also gets it on with Starfire and a bundle of other characters that I don't have a list.
He really gets around, and like maybe they were thinking, he's a ladies' man. He can't be gay. But on the other hand, they could have gone, hey, he's just a people's man. He's the people's man. Like they could have just been like, hey,
he's a man of the people.
He's a man. Yeah, he helps everybody out. If you catch my drift. But they didn't, and that's really weird.
Yeah, but hey, either way, good for Tim.
Good for little Timmy.
Good for little Timmy.
Little Timmy.
Little Timmy Drake.
He's the bottom. Come on, you can't tell me little Timmy is not a bottom.
The only Robin at the top is Red Hood. If we're being quite honest.
He has to fight for it.
Anyway, that's the foreplay.
Sorry. Okay, back to
Camp Nightwing.
Camp Nightwing.
So the plot of this one is the main characters from number 1 meet the survivor from this particular movie. She is a long-lasting survivor and has clearly been horribly traumatized by the event, as she has a very specific daily routine to keep herself safe from the horrendous murderers and supernatural bullshit. But when these kids show up, everything is, clearly going to go sideways real quick.
Yes.
And before the things do, she sits down with them and tells them this long-ass story about the time that she was almost murdered / was murdered a little bit.
Yes. To recap a little bit, because it's been a couple weeks. So in number 1, these kids... There goes Ali's phone. These kids accidentally unearth this curse or like this sort of spell that has been put on the town, and they start getting chased by these undead serial killers who have been possessed by this witch, supposedly, in the town of Shadyside. Turns out they only want to kill Sam, I believe is her name.
Yes.
The main character's love interest, girlfriend, ex-girlfriend at the time. So they go through all these shenanigans trying to, save her, and they find out her heart has to stop. She has to die for the undead serial killers who are possessed by the witch to disappear and go away. So they do that. They end up being able to do that with, obviously some casualties, people dying, and they think it's all over, but then Sam is written into the stone as the next serial killer and becomes possessed by the witch. So the main character and her brother call up the only known survivor, of one of these large mass murdering sprees in their town. And this is what leads us into the second movie. Mm-hmm.
And from there, I would say the next 79% of the movie is inside of this flashback, as we learn about the experiences at Camp Nightwing, which can be summed up in quirky girl from the poor side of town gets bullied horrendously by a bunch of other campers, and then they have a pseudo gang war that they pretend is a normal thing to do every year.
Yes, I mean they're at summer camp, right? It's the whole good side of good town, poor town.
Yeah, they call it
rich kids, poor kids.
Mm-hmm. It's a game called Color Wars, and they try to capture each other. It's a game, but also everyone is way too serious about it and kind of awful.
Yeah, because they are children who hate each other.
Of course, and it's a 70s, 80s horror flick, so there's a couple titties, there's some fucking, there's
yeah, there's more than a couple of bazongas.
bazongas. And it really has a classic feel to it.
Oh yeah, it feels like you're watching an 80s flick.
Mm-hmm. They just have better cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the movie, the rest of the flashback plays out as this leading lady goes through her time there, and eventually all the shit hits the fan, and the serial killer's on the loose, killing all these kids. Like, genuinely children were murdered.
Which, at first, I wasn't sure if they were gonna do that, if they were going to actually show the killing of this 12-year-old, or if they were gonna be like, okay, well, all the kids happen to be in their cabins, and it's just the camp counselors who are, like, getting murdered off and whatever. Nope.
Not even a little bit.
The second murder is the cutest, chonkiest, like 13-year-old boy who's just doing his best trying to impress these girls and win the color wars. Deadzo.
Super deadzo. And the thing is, they get pretty graphic in this one with some of the murders.
Yes, which I think is on point for 80s.
Oh yeah, they're
very
definitely
gruesome.
But they don't show the hack and slash of any of the children, only the counselors and up.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see like a little bit of the aftermath, but nothing like straight on in the picture. Yeah,
you see like some blood splatter, some shadows, maybe like here's a little severed limb from a little child, but you don't see the child getting hacked up, which is probably for the best.
Yeah, I would say so. Yes.
But yeah, they go all in, and it's great. And while this main character story is going on, she's dealing with this serial killer on the loose and trying to save all the kids she can. Her sister's going on her own adventure, trying to unravel this mysterious magical mystery that she was roped into as one of her friends becomes the murderer.
Her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend.
In particular. Yes.
Yeah.
So they find this journal in the camp nurse's office, and it has all this information about the witch in it, and how the witches, where the camp is, used to be the pioneer town, like the first town that ever existed as a part of Shadyside, Sunnyvale, the birth of those two towns. And in that campground, somewhere around it, there is the home of the supposed witch. And the sister, the more uptight one, Cindy, she wants to, get out of Shadyside, so she acts much more like someone from Sunnyvale, very proper, very posh or whatever. Her old friend steals it and is like, okay, if you want it back, you have to follow us. And so they go on this little adventure into the woods, and boyfriend gets possessed. Yeah. Unfortunately, this sweet boy gets possessed. And it's really sad because what's going to happen. He's going to be the murderer. But, you really don't want him to. Mm-hmm. But it's going to happen.
Yeah, because he's a great counselor. He's a fun boyfriend. He's a good guy. And then, oops, all murder.
All murder. Puts the potato sack on and gets at it, man.
Yeah, and again, we see later, and even especially more in number 3, we see some of the older murderers. But this kid, despite not being the most physically intimidating, is the most terrifying. Because again, he's about the fucking sprinter. He picks up an axe and goes all in.
And somehow when he has the whole serial killer uniform on, he does look a little bit wider. He does look a little bit more intimidating. Maybe it's the potato sack stuck on his head in the giant axe. I don't know, but
I think it's the fact that you don't see his childish face anymore. So it's like, oh nope, that's just
a man.
That's just a man.
That's not a 17-year-old boy possessed and unfortunately lost his soul. That is a man
with a big axe trying to chop me. Yes, he really falls into that role very quickly.
Yes, he does.
And this is the movie. It's just him serial killing and everyone trying to escape. Mm-hmm. We should have spoiler warned for some of that, but who gives a shit? Here's a quick spoiler warning for the ends of this of this movie, because I feel like that's the part everyone cares about is the ending.
Yeah.
Everyone dies.
Literally everyone.
There's a small bus of people who were like hiding, who get out early on.
But they're Sunnyvalers.
They're Sunnyvalers.
Which, in number 3, we find out that little tidbit. We find out why Sunnyvale is so rich and happy.
Yeah, that comes back. But the other people are not so lucky, as this serial killer comes hacking and slashing. But near the end, just like in all of the movies, he's not the only one, as our leading lady, and I believe her sister at some point, do bleed on the witch's bones.
Yes.
Specifically her hand. They find the hand that is missing in number 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems as though maybe plot-wise, we're getting closer and closer to finally putting the witch to rest in her entirety.
Yes.
But it ends with the 2 leading ladies in this particular feature having a confrontation with all of the murderers in a field next to a tree.
Yeah.
Where they were trying to put the witch to rest at that point with just the hand, but it didn't.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the hanging tree where she was buried.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that did not end well for them, because the body, as we know from watching number 1, isn't actually there. It is instead next to the giant rock somewhere.
Yes. She was, not to spoil number 3, but once the witch was murdered, hanged, her close friends, who, obviously were like, God, we feel so bad, we loved her so much, buried her somewhere else, somewhere better, somewhere that she
wasn't hung from.
Yes, somewhere she wasn't hung from, and somewhere that meant a lot to her.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately for these 2 main girls, wasn't able to do nothing for them.
They get chopped to death so bad. Like, yes. Okay, not chopped.
One of them gets chopped to death pretty bad.
Yeah, the sister, Cindy Berman, she really gets just repeatedly stabbed and just really railed on in the chest with a knife.
Yeah, and is that the older sister or the younger sister?
That's the oldest.
Right. No, she doesn't get stabbed in the chest with a knife. That's the younger sister. The older sister gets
axed?
She's the one that gets axed repeatedly
in the chest.
Yeah. Because the younger sister, turns out, is actually our surviving lady, one telling the story.
She gets stabbed repeatedly and somehow survives.
I think the instrument that was used to kill her was like a thin ice pick sort of thing.
Yes.
So maybe there was just like enough.
And throughout the story, one of the other camp goers is our cop friend from the first one as a young child, and him and the main character Ziggy start up kind of a romance, a summer camp fling, if you will, between the rich boy and the poor girl, wrong side of the tracks sort of love, Romeo and Juliet.
A real Titanic sort of just teen romance.
Yeah,
fling.
And it really, honest, he was my favorite character. Yeah. Or at least one of my favorite characters in number 2, because he was really fun and real dorky, but like...
Well, he wasn't a cop yet, so like he was a better person.
Well, he also, I don't want to spoil stuff, I can't say, because of the 3rd movie.
Well, let's skip it.
He was really cool, and he's the reason she survives, because he runs back, and obviously he can't do CPR on her sister because her heart's no longer there.
It's just a hole.
But he tries CPR on her, and luckily is able to
keep her alive
a little bit until the ambulance gets there.
Exactly, and that did it. She's alive. She's safe, more or less.
Yeah.
And then we were done with our flashback. Our new protagonists, they understand what's going on a little more, and they try to figure some more stuff out, and after learning where the hand is buried, go out to retrieve it and bury it themselves with the rest of the body.
Yep, and that's where it ends.
That is the ending of number 2.
Yes.
Because our new leading lady, she, burying the entire body whole and bleeding on it again, gets another flash of the witch's history.
Yes, Dina, the main character from number 1.
Yes, Dina gets the full story of the witch and her hanging, and that is number 3. So we're not going to get into it.
Yeah, which will be a little hard to, but we're not going to. We're going to do our best.
Mm-hmm. But that is the entirety of the movie, and I don't. There's nothing else. There's not much else I want to say other than I genuinely thought this was a great representation of those tropes and those movie cliches, but done really well.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they just hacked and slashed a bunch of kids.
I mean, the hack and slash movie was real, like, popular in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. I think the murderer, the kid who played the murderer, who did that job, did a great job. Very few lines, but very imposing, very good physical acting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the story in general, in number 1, I was like, all right, this is the story, the writing is okay.
Yeah.
In number 2, I mean, it's still the same writing, it's whatever, but more and more little things start to, like,
make
click
sense.
into place.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so things might be taking more twists and turns than I thought. And I really like that. There's this cool visual underneath the camp in which the witch seems to have done some strange rituals, which has caused these people to go crazy and become murderers.
And, like, open up caverns.
Yeah.
And create tunnels.
And in the center of this is this giant beating heart.
Yes, this black goop.
And it is gross. And at one point, monsters just kind of bubble and ooze and goo out of it. And it's so good. I did not expect it. Like, I knew that in number 1, things started taking a supernatural twist. And I'm like, cool, fun. And then in this one, it became very, like, it doesn't have rules, but it has a clear, like, aesthetic and style, which I love when any sort of magic and occult things in movies have a very ingrained style, even if it's its own thing. I love it. It's very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the black goop was disgusting, and I hated it so much.
It was very gross.
Yeah, number two and number 3 are my favorites. I think that is because, unfortunately, number 1 is the setup movie. Yeah. So, like, if you watch number 1 and you're thinking, okay, well, kind of boring or, like, not super into it, then you should really just watch number 2 and number 3, because it will, like you said, Ollie, it'll really help things move forward. Because I think number 1 is a little slow. Like, it sets things up and it has the murder and the witch, and it has some plot and, and some thrill in it, but not nearly as much as number 2 and 3, because they really elevate the story.
I think also number 1 has the least likable characters. Not because they were unlikable. They were likable. I liked all of the characters, to be honest. But it focused on the 2 girls and their relationship, and their relationship is bad. It's not going to go anywhere. Once they go off to college, they're super going to break up.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, you're in high school, you are in love, your first love, we get it, okay? But, like...
But it's so high school.
It's so high school, but, I mean, the movie's based in, like, what, the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So... That's the thing, It's teen drama where, you want to fall in love with your high school sweetheart and be with them forever. That's not how it always works out.
No.
And I think you're right. I think that kind of, like, drug it down a little bit. Because at first it was kind of funny, kind of like, okay, whatever. But then it was like, the whole time, guys? Really?
Yeah, like, there's murderers. Who cares?
Yeah.
Again, you're not going to stay together your whole lives.
Like, you're about to get murdered right now, and you're, like, sitting in the grocery aisle, like, being emotional and having a heart-to-heart. Like, you gotta get going. Like, take those pills and die already. Come on.
Yeah, deal with all of it later.
Yeah.
But honestly, that can be said about most horror movies. I think the thing that is a little different in number 2 versus number 1 in terms of the romance, because there is still a romantic aspect to. I think all 3 movies there are love interests for everyone in all of them. But in number 2 and number 3, the major differences I think are that
they feel different.
Yeah, because they don't feel like they are people trying to create a permanent, I want you to be my everything. Mm-hmm. They feel more like in number 2, it feels like, hey, we're kids at camp. Let's have a fling.
Yeah, it's just blossoming. It's a crush. It's not like a hardcore, oh my God, I love you so much right now. Yeah, we are 13, let's get married.
Yeah, it doesn't have all this weird, this is so important. This is the most important love of my life. I have to save her no matter, who gives a shit. But in number 2, it's just, oh, yeah, you're hot, you're cute, this is fun, we're in camp. Oh, there's a murderer. Fuck, never mind. I want to save you because you're a good person and I like you. That's it. That's the whole motivation. You don't need anything more than that. And number 3, which we're not going to super into, it's, forbidden love. I mean, who the fuck doesn't like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just unfortunate that that's the style they got stuck into, the teen high school specific drama.
I mean, it's just that the series or the saga or whatever you want to call it is based off an R.L. Stine book.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So we have to also keep in mind that it is made for children basically.
Yeah. So
we're not 13 anymore, but a 13-year-old who watched it or read it would probably be like, oh my God, my heart can't go on, they probably really dig it, because maybe they have a crush that they feel that way about, I mean, when you're in high school, your first love does feel like your most important thing. I don't know. That didn't happen to me, but I can understand, There's a lot of things in high school, though, that felt like, to me, oh my God, this is the most important thing. This will last forever, And it doesn't. You'll be fine. You have so much more out there. It's just, you're a kid. And so when you're young, everything feels big.
Yeah. Did you have a particular favorite scene in this movie?
Oh, man.
Because for me, it might have been the final murder, because the girl gets chopped in the chest.
It was a very good scene. It was a very good scene because they're just surrounded by all of the possessed killers. Yeah,
it's a very hopeless sort of climax of the movie.
It is.
But that, there's more to it. Mm-hmm. There's something else going on, so there's still something to happen.
Yeah.
And it has a very interesting feel there.
I like the cute scenes too, the few cute scenes that are sprinkled in there, like when Ziggy is in her bunk, in her cabin, and she, the cop boy, I freaking forget his name.
Good.
Yes, Nick.
Nick Good.
Nick Good. I am surprised you remembered.
I remembered the last name. That was a favorite.
When he comes in and he's like, whoa, what's going on? Because all over on the inside of her cabin, it says, Ziggy is a witch, a whore, a slut. She's all these things painted all over the entire cabin, which I can't imagine her bunkmates are super happy with that. So, she's getting bullied the whole time she's at this camp. And, it's hard being the quirky girl. And so she decides she will carry them, basically. She will fill this bucket of red paint and put it all over this, the princess, the popular girl of the camp. And who her and her friends have done this to Ziggy. He comes in and he's like, really? That's all you got? And she's like, well, okay, fine. What do you think we should do? And it's just a really cute scene because it's at first she's really upset and she's angry and she's like, why is this guy here? He's just a pain in my butt. Whatever, guy, go away. you're a goody two-shoes rich boy from Sunnyvale. But he's like, actually, I have a better idea if you wanna hear me out. And I think that's really cute.
It was very cute. I did enjoy also just getting back at the girl, because she is just a big old bunt.
Yeah, they end up putting her in the latrine, in the bathroom area. Shed is a weird little shed thing, and locking her in, and buckets of like roaches and spiders they spill on her, which is more terrifying than red paint.
Yeah,
or just actual pig's blood. Like, it's honestly, I'd rather have pig's blood dumped on me than have roaches and giant spiders all over me. But they lock her in there, and she, screams and has a very bad time. And then, unfortunately, is still locked in there when the murderer is out and about. And Ziggy is like, oh, shoot, I did this bad thing to this person I hate, but I still don't want her to die. Tries to go save her and then gets a punch in the face.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
What you gonna do?
She doesn't know there's a serial killer loose.
Yeah. Plus, she's a bad person and probably wouldn't have let Ziggy out.
Oh, yeah. No, she wouldn't have. She would have survived anyway because she's a Sunnyvaler.
Yeah, kids. But, there's a lot of fun nonsense in this movie. They talked about a good scene. Any bad scenes?
Yes, actually. I absolutely, positively hated it. No joke. When, the friend... Shoot. Cindy, I think, when her and the posh sister, are in...
I thought Cindy was the sister.
Good God. What was the friend's name? I just had it. Cindy? Sheila? Joan? I have to go up. Darn it. I had it all prepared. Alice. There we go.
Cindy and Alice.
I absolutely hated it when Alice and Cindy were in the caverns, and Alice, the friend, gets, like, she touches the black goop and starts seeing the hallucinations and the images, I guess, of the ghosts who have died, the people who have been unfortunately possessed and forced to murder people. She freaks out and starts running around these tunnels and then falls and breaks her leg.
Her ankle specifically.
Yes, I hated that because though I'm a pretty big fan of horror movies, I do not like body horror stuff too much. Like, okay, I'll watch The Fly. I love that. Jeff Goldblum, super sexy. I love it.
Pre and post.
Yes. I'll have his larva. God, no. That's really bad. I don't want that ever. I don't want that. I'm so sorry. I don't want that. But there's a point that I don't like. If it's something turning into a monster, it's okay. Like, The Fly or The Thing, something like that, I'm cool with. However, if it's something like Alien, that it bursts out of the chest, or you see limbs breaking, or just something on the body, like, I can't do it. Like Saw or Hostel, no. To me, those are not horror movies. Those are, that's like gore porn. That's like for someone to watch because they want to see someone get hurt. I don't like that. That's not why I like horror movies. I like them because they're, they give you that thrill and they're scary and, it's just fun to watch. But to me, it's not fun to watch people suffer. It's not fun for me to watch people get limbs broken and things cracked. Like, even in stupid action movies, when, who is it? That one weird guy, like when Van Damme or Jackie Chan or Sylvester Stallone, or, he's so weird. My dad used to like him so much.
Seagal?
Yes! Steven Seagal. God, that guy's weird. When...
I mean, that's true. He is a fucking weirdo.
When those action stars would, break the bad guy's arms, the criminal henchman's arms or legs or something. And
yeah, they would snap at him by the elbows and the knees.
And you would hear it or even sometimes see it. I hate that so much. I hate it with a passion. And I have myself sprained my ankles multiple times. I have weak ankles, so anything to do with the ankles freaks me out as well because I'm always scared. Scared for my own safety. Very long story short there. I'm sorry. I don't like it when people break their limbs in movies.
Also, I think you said that wrong. What you meant to say is short story long. Because,
I had to make sure you understood. I really... do you understand? Right now. I'll recap if you've forgotten. I really hate, and I, to my core, cannot... It is my personal hell. When I see people...
Bone snap?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's unpleasant. The only thing that I really disliked is something I dislike not just in horror movies, but in so many movies, and especially Korean programs, I suppose, because in movies, shows, whatever. At the beginning, we see the main girl get very viciously bullied. Like, they pretend to string her up at a tree and actually string her up a little bit and burn her a bit.
Yeah, it was a lighter.
With a lighter. They're just they don't put her on a pyre. But, they literally burned her flesh with a lighter. Yeah. And, people show up and it doesn't actually go super great, but, everyone's safe enough. And, I understand that to some extent, some horrific bullying does occur in the world. And I understand that sometimes it's important to portray those in certain ways, but some of it is just fucking wild. No, that's a ridiculous thing.
I understand what you're saying, but both of us have never been that badly bullied. So, we have to give it to some people that, some people are just evil. They do vicious things to bully. There are kids out there who would tie someone to a tree and burn them with a hot lighter.
I guess suppose so. It seems so dramatic and wild.
It is, but it has to happen. Kids are injured every day because of it. Bullying wouldn't be such a big thing if it weren't extreme sometimes,
I suppose. Yeah. I guess that's it. So I still am not the biggest fan of the scene, just because to me it seems a little over dramatic. It seems a little weird.
And it's the first scene.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel that way about all the scenes in movies and TV shows where that sort of extreme bullying is happening. But like you said, it might just be because I was never really bullied that much. Mm-hmm. I was bullied when I was a little kid in elementary school, but then I did what my parents taught me and beat the shit out of kids who bullied me with a stick, and then I wasn't bullied anymore up until ever.
Yeah.
So
So if anybody's listening, and if you're getting bullied,
beat them with a stick. It works every time.
Ollie, no, we don't want to go to jail. Don't do that. But stand up for yourself.
Okay, sure.
Do that. Stand up for yourself. And if it's, don't start the fight, but definitely finish that fight.
And my father taught me, if you cannot handle someone physically yourself,
grab a stick.
A stick always helps.
Grab a stick. I just didn't go to school very much, so didn't get a chance to be bullied. Was vigorously ignored. If people pretending I'm not there is a sort of bullying, then I guess yes.
If you're your friends, probably. If they're not, then they just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't think that's considered bullying. But yeah, definitely don't listen to what I say, but also it does work. But that's all I got. Genuinely, I like this one. This was a very good one.
Oh yeah, the whole saga is really good, and it's we first went into it thinking just maybe a silly little thing, but it's surprisingly good.
Yeah. So that's all I got. That's all we got, right?
That's all we got.
All right, folks, that's going to be it for us. Just a quick reminder, do some prophesizing. No, that's not the right word.
Prophesizing. Do some divine work. Connect with your gods.
I mean, yeah, feel it, do it, get it done. But also...
divine the unknown.
But if you could, before you do that, evangelize for us. Tell your friends, make them listen, sit them down, force them with, some rope and whatnot, and bully them into listening to our show if you can.
Or how about this? Maybe... if you have a friend, you're having a sleepover, or if you have a partner, turn it on as they're falling asleep. And then they'll just listen to it as they fall asleep and while they're sleeping. And then when they wake up, they're like, man, I really like that show. And that's because you are subtly influencing them.
Burn our show into their subconscious.
Yes.
Condition them to love us.
I know we haven't been super active on social media. That is kind of my fault. I haven't been feeling well, and also I'm so bad.
Social media is a trash
I need to
garbage.
be fired from social media.
We're figuring it out.
News and exciting things. Hello. New and exciting things coming for Delta Cryptid. More people? More shows? What?
Wait.
Yes.
Indeed. It's gonna be great. So
exciting.
While you're here on the ground floor, you half dozen to couple dozen people, depending on the day, evangelize for us. Spread it around.
When we become giant famous members of the cult of Delta Cryptid, you'll get to say you knew us before it was cool.
Yeah.
You were part of the cult before it was famous.
Yeah, so let's end it here, but I will say this. When I was younger, I did always kind of want to be in a cult.
It's a community,
It's a community. That being said, I did want to lead a cult.
Well, there you go. You are the type.
Well, I don't want to say that. Anyways, goodbye, everybody.
Well, also join our cult.
Join the cult.
Bye, love you. We'll get matching shirts.